Hello, I'm Bajo Boy, and welcome to Pocket. Today on the show, we're going to be talking gamer tags, Men on Fire, and comic book games on this day of March 17th! Alright gang, let's get serious. It's news time, serious news time. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Fallout 4's Dogmeat is the best video game dog of 2015. Bethesda revealed overnight that River, the German shepherd whose movements inspired Dogmeat's in-game animation, won a very prestigious award earlier this year. River was bestowed the honor of Top Video Game Dog of the Year in the CW's World Dog Awards. Who's a good boy, River? Who's a good dog? Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You'll be dead by the time the sequel comes out. Microsoft has made a toolset which will let developers run their own esports tournaments on Xbox Live. Announced during a presentation at GDC, the Xbox Live Tournaments program will allow developers to run international tournaments through the Xbox Live service, removing the need to use third-party add-ons to facilitate matches and track data. The program is compatible with the company's Universal Windows platform, and therefore will work on Windows 10 devices as well as Xbox One. Obsidian Entertainment, makers of the excellent Pillars of Eternity and the bug exploration adventure Fallout New Vegas, have unveiled their new game Tyranny. The isometric RPG will see players control the judge and executioner of a fantasy land. In Obsidian's words, the game is a non-linear story which challenges players to find their role within the dominant empire and live with the outcomes of difficult, morally unclear decisions. I have no idea what any of that means. Can't wait! Ubisoft has announced that the Trackmania Turbo Open Beta will be commencing on the 18th of March, but PC gamers aren't invited. The beta will run until the 21st of March on Xbox One and PS4, which, according to Ubisoft, is to help them get the console networking infrastructure in place before the game goes live on the 25th of March. But I want to play it on my PC. Resident Evil has had some great games and some absolute turd ones. It's also had some pretty awful movies and some gastrointestinal diarrhea ones. But now it's trading new ground with Resident Evil, the musical. The Japanese stage show, creatively titled Musical Resident Evil, will be an original musical featuring some of Japanese theatre's biggest talents, and I assume Hugh Jackman. The stage adaptation is being overseen by Capcom producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi and is expected to open in September. I'm now joined by supervising producer and ABC janitor Elliot Cloudbusting Fish to talk about today's final news story. Welcome, Elliot.
Thank you, Bajo.
Psychologists at the University of York published an article in Computers in Human Behavior, which tracked League of Legends users and their behavior. The study found that gamers with profanities or antisocial expressions in their username were more likely to demonstrate antisocial behavior in-game. On the results, the researchers say this data is like a window on individual players' personalities, so we believe that we might be able to use video games as a way of testing people's personalities. Cloudbusting. Is that a rapscallion name? Are you a rapscallion online?
I think I'm a very considerate online player.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Because I'm old.
Oh, right.
It's a maturity thing. And that's why I actually think this research, it's a bit of a no-shit Sherlock study, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're gonna, and you can edit this, John, if you're gonna call yourself cock monkey, you probably are a cock monkey.
I think so. I like it that all the shit players, like all the shits, are like getting pushed together into these matches, you know, so they can just be awful to each other. And I would just love to be in a room and see all those horrible names and just bask in their awfulness. For me, it's always when there's numbers. If there's numbers in someone's name, don't trust him. Don't trust him.
Well, they said in the study that they were looking to see if some of those numbers were usually the birth year, so they could try and figure out the gamer's age. And they found that for a lot of them, it was.
Yeah.
And that sort of blows my mind. Like, I don't know why you'd put your birth year in your username. I mean,
kids these days,
giving away your personal data online. Like, come on.
They don't care about security, kids these days. Everything goes up, right? Everything. You know, whenever I play Counter-Strike, which I play that fairly regularly, and I'm playing that game with people who didn't exist when I started playing it. They did not exist on Earth, right? They're so young, and they're still much better than me, which is fine. But like, they're awful. They are awful people. Every now and then you meet some nice ones, but generally they're just terrible. They say the most awful things, and I feel bad. I get teased as a 35-year-old man. I get teased by a bunch of school kids all the time. It's just like being back in school. But when you do you play a game like Battlefield, you know, where maybe it's kind of people in their 30s, like that group, they're generally a bit more like, all right, mate, let's go do it. You know, like the maturity really matters in online play.
Well, that's what they found in that study, yeah. It was that the more mature the player, the more cooperative they were online. The younger, they were, I guess, the more immature they were, and the more antisocial they were. And I think it makes sense also when you're creating a username. It's like when you're creating a character in a game. You're thinking about, who do I want to be online in the game? So sometimes the username you're creating a persona.
Yeah.
So I mean,
label.
If you plan to go online and troll people, you want to think of something that's
troll-worthy.
That's
troll-worthy,
right.
so they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
Is that it, though? Or is it just that we're getting old and this is actually the way that kids speak now? This is the language they use?
I don't think so. Although, I don't know, what's a dank meme?
Oh, I don't know either. I hear dank meme all the time. Dank meme, good dank memes. You're making memes. What does it mean? Anyway, here's Nick Boy with a GDC update.
Hey my Pocketeers, it is Wednesday here, and this time I have not just woken up from having a nap, so hopefully I look relatively presentable. Today's been really fun. We started off this morning with a Vive demo from Steam called The Lab, so it's kind of like the Vive's version of Wii Sports. It's the free game that will be coming with it, a bunch of mini games, but they're really cool. They give a really good sense of the controllers that you use and the hand tracking and that sort of thing. I really dug it. I think the Vive could be my favorite VR headset. We also interviewed Andy Sum today, the developer of Crossy Road, the Australian dev. He was the sweetest human being alive, and I was really, really thrilled to meet him. And this afternoon we'll be spending the rest of the day here on the show floor, interviewing a bunch of people, checking out a bunch of games, and just generally having fun. Now, I miss you all entirely, and I can't wait to get back, but in the meantime, Bajo is looking after you, so you're in safe hands. So you're in hands. But until those hands touch you again, it's Thing of the Day. Excuse me, mate. Could you come here for 1 second? Could you just say the words Thing of the Day? Thing of the Day. There it is.
Thing of the Day. It's Thing of the Day.
YouTuber The Cosmic Fly discovered that in Hitman, fire just doesn't emit the same fear in humanity as it used to. Windows, though, they're a right pain.
Hey, are you all right?
Thing of the Day. It's Thing of the Day.
And now it's talk through time where you suggest a topic and we talk through it. And today's one is brought to us by Insanity Asylum. How do you feel about comic book based video games? All we really have right now is just the finished Batman Arkham series, Injustice Gods Among Us, and some Lego and app games. Do you think there should be more? And if so, what comic book character would you love to see in a video game? Elliot, comic book characters in video games, are they any good?
I think comic books have been extremely well served by video games over the years. I think even back in the early 80s, I remember text adventures that were based on Marvel franchises. There was like a series called Quest Probe, I think, and they had like Hulk and Spider-Man. In fact, I remember, here's a little story. I remember playing the text adventure Hulk game on like Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And it began with you tied to a chair as Bruce Banner. And I spent like days typing, right, obviously I've got to be the Hulk, so get angry. No, that didn't work. Break chair. No, nothing working. And I never actually could play the game. And then years later, I found the solution was bite tongue.
Right.
Now,
that sounds like
quite clever.
Sounds like a fun game.
But you were getting to play these characters,
Yeah.
way back then, and then over the years, we've had in the arcades there was X-Men and
Yeah. Well, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, that was based off the cartoon, which was based off the comics, right? And
Yeah.
that is one of the greatest arcade games of all time.
yeah. There's been many Superman games,
Yeah.
not particularly good ones.
Not Superman 64, which is trash.
And Batman,
The Arkham series is just incredible.
over the years.
I think comic book characters work best in fighting games, personally. Batman aside, which is like amazing. But I find a lot of the other ones, I'm not really into the storylines as much, but when you have all the characters fighting each other, it's a really fun way to like have those, who would win in a fight between Batman and Superman, who would win in a fight between Wolverine and a Ninja Turtle. When they put them together, I think it's easier for the developers to like balance the powers out. Because like when they're doing a storyline, and you've got these superheroes, because they're mostly superheroes from comic books, right? They're really overpowered, so it's hard to like make that fun. How many overpowered enemies can you throw at a superhero? And I think that's for movies as well.
Lose
right?
their powers.
Yeah.
They have to sort of somehow regain their powers.
Yeah.
Why were they losing their powers? But I think one point is that the storylines from comic books haven't really been utilised that well by games.
Yeah.
But the characters themselves were really well represented.
Yeah.
But, the storylines have been neglected, with a few exceptions, like the Fable Telltale game.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget Sam & Max was a comic before it was a game. And there are even some good sort of comic book games that aren't based on existing licenses, like the Freedom Force game by Irrational. That was a Jack Kirby-esque superhero game that had all the aesthetics of a comic book. That was just, an original IP.
I guess you've got the advantage when you've got a comic book. You've got this world already built. You've got a fan base already too. You've got characters that people probably already love. So there's just so much to start with.
Yeah.
Right? But what characters haven't been made a video game yet that probably should? What comic books? I want to see a Booster Gold game. You know Booster Gold?
No.
He's a DC character who time travels back to present day, and he's got all these gadgets, and he's very much like, "Whoa, I'm awesome. I'm Booster Gold. Everyone's heard of me," and no one's heard of him.
Well, gadgets, that's good for games.
Yeah.
Time travel, hey, great.
And he's a comedy character too, so I think that could be fun.
We just got to hope that games don't get oversaturated with comic book franchises, sort of like film. What's happening with film at the moment?
Yeah.
Like superhero movies every second month.
Yeah.
But look, I was always a big Marvel fan. I've got lots of Marvel comics at home, and one of my favourites was Power Man and Iron Fist.
Oh, I know nothing about them. I assume Iron Fist has a fist of iron, and is Power Man, has he got something weird in his chest?
No, Power Man is just super strong and he's got tough skin. He's
Right.
Luke Cage. I don't know, people might remember that character from the Jessica Jones TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Power Man. I was just always a fan of those characters. I just really liked them. It was sort of set in the 70s and they were cool. And they're back in the limelight now with the TV show, so there might be a video game soon.
We can only hope. What do you think? Are you a fan of comic books? Is there a comic book character that you think needs to be in a video game? Please let us know in the comments below of this internet video. And while you're on the internet, you can keep up with everything Good Game by checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, and iView. Want to meet fellow Pocketeers? Then join the Pocketeers Facebook group and Steam group. You can follow Good Game on Twitter, @GoodGameTV, follow Pocket, @NickBoy, @Pierreth, @GGEditMonkey, @SamJP. He's @ElliotFish, I'm @BajoPants, and there are links in the description to everything that I just said. And today's Thing of the Day graphic was made by Rush B.
Yeah, that's very cool. He made it in Steam Filmmaker.
Yeah, awesome. What a dank meme. Thanks for sending that in, and thanks Cloudbusting for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Until tomorrow, where Goose will be with you, Bajo Boy out.
Cloudbusting out.
Can you help me with this?
I'm not touching.
Okay, Sam, let's do this. No! Oh, just rip it. Oh, mother's tennis! Alright, keep going.
Yeah, next one.
Just keep going, I'll ride the wave. No, go fast!